Okay, we're talking now about cytokines. Cytokines are small glycoproteins secreted locally, the paracrine system. The cytokines communicate between one white blood cell and another, and sometimes with other cells also. We have different interleukins. They are a type of cytokine. Interleukin 1, released by macrophages. This interleukin 1 turns on, for example, the T cell to look at things, and then if the T cell agrees, it'll send out interleukin 2, which will then cause proliferation of neighboring lymphocytes. Okay. The T helper cell, as I alluded to, is the CEO of the third line of defense. He actually is the commander not only of the B cell system but also the T cell system. There are actually two types of T helper cells. A T helper cell 1, which is the commander-in-chief of the T cell system, and a T helper cell 2, TH2, of the B cell system. Okay. So this types of T helper cell 1, T helper cell 2, the B cell. Interleukin 2 induces T helper cells. Interleukin 4, so other words, to say it another way. Remember, the three types of antigen-presenting cells are dendritic cells, some macrophages, and some B cells. Let's say the B cell is the one that encounters the microorganism. Then the B cell, in this case, would be of the class of antigen-presenting cells, would present to a T helper cell. But it would present to a T helper 2, because the T helper 2 is its president. Then if it presents to a T helper 2 and the T helper 2 agrees, then it would secrete an interleukin 4. And the interleukin 4 then would cause the B cells in the area with the same organism to start getting ready to fight. However, if it's the T cells, let's say T cytotoxic cells or whatever, that pick up on the organism, and they use a antigen presenting cell of a dendritic cell, let's say, or certain macrophage, and they present it to the T helper 1, then that means it's to activate the T helper system, the T cell system instead of the B cell. In which case then, if the T helper cell type 1 agrees, it would give an interleukin 2. So in other words, you don't have to memorize this, but the type of interleukin determines what it's going to act on. Remember, when something is secreted, it will only be picked up by cells that have receptors. When something is secreted, it will only be picked up by cells that have receptors. So in other words, let's say a television signal. You could put a big television signal out there, but if you don't have an antenna, you still won't pick it up. It's still flying over your house. Okay? So a secretion can only be picked up by cells that have receptors for that secretion. Now I'm going to get into T helper 17. We talked about T helper cells. Here again would be a picture of the CD3, which would be this, hooking to it, the CD3 on the T cell, hooking to this right here, which is showing that particular, and then here would be that arm coming around, that CD4 arm, which would then attach and then cause secretion. You can read on that. I won't get into that. That again is T cell. T cytotoxic cell. Okay, the T helper cell is the CEO. He doesn't get into no fight. The T helper cell gets into no fight. The armamentarian arm, the sergeant at arms of the T cell, is the T cytotoxic. That's the one that actually gets into the fight. That's the one that once the T helper cell gives confirmation, will then confirm, and the T cytotoxic cell will attack. What it primarily will do is to send out perforins and granzyme, much like the natural killer cell. So what does it do? Targets virus intracellular now. Remember intracellular. Virus-infected intracellular bacterial parasites, cancer cells, foreign cells. Okay, put the wrong cell inside you. You need to take that out. So the T cell system is the one that's going to fight against bad matches on organ transplants, let's say. Okay. That's the T cytotoxic. Perforins, granzyme. It can also turn on the FAS receptors inside a foreign cell because that makes apoptosis occur. The FAS receptor on a cell, if you turn it on, that cell will undergo apoptosis. Okay. We already talked about natural killer cell. That's in the second line of defense. The Treg, known as the T10, okay, here's a skirmish. The skirmish is going on. The offenders have lost. What needs to happen, you need to send the troops home. Because once you gear up the T cell or B cell system and you don't send it home, particularly the T cell system, it could start turning and attacking you. So you need a arm of wisdom, shall I say. And so the T10 which has a CD10. So the CD10 is on a T10 and it's called a Treg, and it produces interleukin 10, and the interleukin 10 quiets the skirmish so it doesn't get out of hand, to say it another way. Interleukin 10. Okay, I'm not going to get into this. I'm not going to get into the gamma delta. We've already talked about that. So, our next video is going to be organ transplants.